Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about PlayStation 1, Nintendo Switch, RetroArch, and more. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on PC with Ryujinx, and Ryujinx has just released their progress report. Although we've covered most of this in bits and pieces in previous videos, it's really nice to see everything all in one place and very well written. I'll leave a link to it in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. We're just going over it at a high level, and there's a ton of detail in here. Now this month, just like last month, there was a whole bunch of work done for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet to make everything look a heck of a lot better. It's not like Nintendo and Game Freak gave Ryujinx a whole lot to work with here though. On top of that, some smaller changes this month include a reduction in texture operation shaders, which may give a slight boost to lower end iGPUs. And in addition to that, thanks to some improvements for shaders, Super Mario Odyssey may or may not get a 3 to 4% performance bump. For The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Switch, the wind effects have been fixed. On the top here is how it should be, with the grass swaying in the wind, and on the bottom is how it was previously. So Ryujinx has made some improvements and Breath of the Wild is looking better. Furthermore, games like Paradigm Paradox and Vegas Party are now playable with NVIDIA and AMD GPUs. Ikaruga and Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy are now rendering a heck of a lot better. There was a lot of work done to improve things on Mac OS. A brand new save manager has been added, and it actually has the power to recover lost accounts that still have saves tied to them. On top of that, you can no longer update Ryujinx while you're actively playing a game. Not that you'd want to anyway. Last year, Ryujinx had an absolutely killer year, and this year looks to be shaping up really good. I mean, Ryujinx is already running on the Raspberry Pi. In terms of compatibility, check this out. 3,275 games are listed as playable. That's 84.2%. 2.3% of games boot. 1.2% of games just get into the menus, and 11.6% just get in-game. So the majority here, the overwhelming majority, is listed as playable. Ryujinx is doing awesome. Next up, we're still talking about Switch emulation, but switching over to Android and talking about Skyline, and Skyline is also doing pretty great. There's a brand new free mainline build available. If you head to skyline-emu.1 and click on download here, you'll see a brand new build, 1761. Now it's worth pointing out that this is not the rumored Texman update. That update might come in a number of months here, but this update does introduce some performance improvements, and you should check it out if you're using Skyline. Someone's got Saints Row 3 up and running between 20 to 40 frames per second. Breath of the Wild is doing a little bit better. It's looking a heck of a lot better, although there's still a ways to go. And for those of you with a Mali GPU, here's Burnout Paradise Remastered up and running on a Google Pixel 6, which has a Mali G78. Obviously, there's still a ways to go here, but this is very confidence-inspiring for those of us with Mali GPUs. But moving on, and we're talking about something that could change the future of emulation, and it's all thanks to librashader, which is brand new here. It's a shader runtime library made for porting RetroArch shaders to other emulators. If you are interested in reading up a little bit more about this, I'll leave a link to the website in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. There's a ton of information here. The official definition of librashader is it's a complete re-implementation of the RetroArch Slang shader pipeline that allows standalone emulators to easily and optionally implement support for RetroArch style shaders and shader presets. librashader is free, it's open source, and in my opinion it takes one of the best parts about RetroArch and makes it applicable to possibly other emulators out there, and I'm really looking forward to it. And next up, we're talking about the current best PlayStation 1 emulator out there, Duckstation, and Duckstation just got a really interesting new update. Now it is worth pointing out that this is with the latest preview build and not with the latest rolling release, so the preview build is considered experimental, but in my opinion is worth checking out. It adds controller LED options where applicable, and this is for PC. As far as I know, it's not for Android. I don't think Stenzek is developing on Android anymore. However, it's still awesome to see Stenzek developing for the emulation community. I mean, not only with Duckstation here, but also with PS2. They haven't stopped that either. If you wanted to check out the latest release here for Duckstation or latest preview build, I'll leave a link in the description below. It's on GitHub, it's free, and it's open source. Next up, this is kind of wild. Simpsons Hit and Run was released back in 2003, and just recently here, Disney has released the soundtrack to the game on Spotify. Absolutely wild. If you wanted to check it out, it's available. Next up, this one's on GitHub, and I'll leave a link to it in the description below, but Mystical Atlas has ported the Game Boy Advance Super Mario Advance 4 to the 3DS, a very interesting project. And last up here, this will be bad news for possibly some of you. Microsoft is officially ending support for Windows 7 and Windows 8.1. If you're currently using Windows 7 or 8.1 and are connected to the internet on a regular basis, you might want to consider upgrading, possibly to Windows 10 or maybe even Windows 11. And if you don't want to upgrade to Windows 10 or 11, you can always choose a version of Linux. It's free and it's open source. Now, on the other hand, if you're deciding not to upgrade Windows 7 or 8.1, you should realize you may or may not be at risk. Because after January 10th, and it's now January 15th at the time of filming, Microsoft will no longer provide security updates for Windows 8.1. That is huge. If there's a vulnerability and you don't have the latest security updates, you may be at risk. And I do want to point something out here. Microsoft has a very interesting sentence. You might be able to upgrade your Windows 8.1 device to a newer version of Windows, but we recommend moving to a new PC that can run Windows 11 as the best option. So they're here not even saying, hey, upgrade to Windows 10. No, they're saying buy a new PC with Windows 10 or with Windows 11 preferably. I really don't think it's realistic, especially in this economy, for everybody to afford to be able to buy a brand new PC running Windows 11. So if you are currently running Windows 7 or 8.1, it appears here you can get a free Windows 10 upgrade. I'll leave a link to this article in the description below and feel free to check it out. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a ton today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.